Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have audio for this? I'm hoping. Okay, thanks. Um, Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is June 13, and it is a Tuesday. So happy Tuesday, everybody. Um, my goodness, we've had a couple of nice things happen around here this morning. Um, of course, it's the standard thing, you have to be looking in the right place for the at the right time. But all the indices seem to be pretty much on the same page. The interesting thing to me is that YM seems to be a little stronger this morning uh, than the others, and that doesn't really happen very often. But we are in the middle of not in the middle, where it's starting to wind down, but uh, earnings are still being released. And this week there were some, I don't know that any were in the Dow. So maybe that's this this stronger uh, YM this morning is caused by something else. Anyway, both the dollar and the 6E have been in a bit of a chop. Uh, it took them till about, I don't know, 11 or 11:30 to get that in gear. Bonds I thought would be a little quieter than they were today, but there was a really nice trade up and then still working one down. Yesterday it was just beautiful. Uh, Went both directions, really nice, smooth. Uh, you just do have to have a lot of patience to trade any of the interest rate markets. But we got a nice move on crude oil today. This is just very, very wonderful. We haven't had that for quite some time. And Brent started that business, but this has really been nice because it came up off of put in a low of the day right here, real close to the low of the prior session, and then when it went up at least, I mean, you had a very good idea it was going to go to uh, settlement at least, and it put in a make sure we're at the same place on this. Well, that was from earlier. Anyway, when it went right on through settlement, then you knew for sure that it was going. It went close, very close to an old weekly magnet right up here at 56.54, but looks like it topped out at about 44. So we'll see if it comes back down to settlement. Usually these E's are pretty good, and the other thing is that's one of the reasons if I get too much stuff on any one chart, then uh, for me at least, you get so confused you can't keep track of anything. But I do like these zones that are on the 6-tick chart because it gives you some idea if this will break. It's likely to go down here to at least 45.90 and more likely to 45.67, and then we'll see. It'll have to go on through settlement to get there. Depends on how euphoric the oil traders are today. So anyway, gold had, I think it's Jason always said that his favorite trade are these when you see an elevator in the middle of a trend, and gold had one of those this morning, which was very, very nice. I find it a little easier to get out if you got in at a good fill level, to get out and then wait until that elevator gets over itself and continues on. But you know, when if it does break above that elevator, then it will go on up. It went exactly to an old magnet on that, to the tick. So if you haven't figured out that these magnets are pretty important, you might want to rethink that idea. This poor VIX, I don't know what's going to become of it. It must be on life support by now, but it's trading 1068 right now, and that does not portend a heck of a lot of moves into the afternoon. So time will tell if that pans out. Tomorrow on the news, tomorrow morning, there is a whole bunch of numbers being released in Europe. And then tomorrow morning at 8:30 in the U.S., we have some other stuff. It's the CPI and the retail sales numbers are coming out tomorrow morning at 8:30. So if you trade right in that 8:30, right around 8:30, be careful of those, because they are likely to get the market to move. You just don't want to be on the wrong side of it. And then at 10:30 tomorrow, we're going to have the usual crude oil inventory. But at 2 o'clock tomorrow is FOMAC. So there will be notices posted in this chat, and I'm sure other people will be pointing this out. But if you're new here and you have never traded FOMAC, I would really advise you to sit on your hands and watch this for several times. And even experienced traders will stay away from that. It depends on what they're going to say. And what you need to understand is there are very, very expensive notice services that you can subscribe to, and the big boys do. And these services will release the numbers just a couple of 3 minutes, sometimes as much as 5 minutes before they're released to the public. And so if you notice markets start to move just before a number's release, that's what's causing it. And never discount the idea that some of them will run the market one way, knowing what the general public is going to do, because they're either trying to get in a better price to go the other way, or they're taking out stops so they will have no competition to go their way. So that's really kind of a timeline to be super aware of. So if you're in a trade and you think, well, I'm going to take this off, a couple minutes before the news release, I would suggest that you take it off before a couple of minutes, just so you don't get caught in a trap with that kind of stuff. And then later this week, just one other reminder about the currency contracts, the futures currency contracts. They're going to roll. Probably Nadex will tell you exactly when, but I think they do, because a lot of their traders watch those. But for the Apex indicators, if you trade those currency pairs on the Nadex, you're going to need to go into your instrument manager on Friday or Saturday at the latest and update your contracts for the currencies. And that's the the 6A and the 6B and just all those sixes, because the apex indicators pull their data and information for the Forex pairs that you have on your charts are coming from those futures contracts. So that's a super important thing to do. Anyway, let's see. I can't think of anything else just off the top of my head. For those of you who have joined us in the last maybe 6 months, I would just advise you that most of us in here are really big on having a business plan, because if you don't run this trading business like a business, if you're just kind of messing around to see how it goes, it's going to reward you like a hobby. But if you intend to make this work, you're going to have a business plan, and you're going to have to put it together yourself. But we're 2 weeks away from the end of the first half of this year. So most traders will take a look at their business plan that they've laid out for the year to track just where they are relative to what their projections were and what minor tweaks they may have to make. But if you have got yours started, then you've got about another 2 weeks to bring your first half in where you had set your goals and your business plan out. And the reason this is important is that if you have to make any little tweaks and adjustments, or if you have exceeded where you had projected, then you're going to want to make some adjustments for what your projections are for the third quarter and the fourth quarter. But if you are not there, then the same thing. You're going to have to figure out how are you going to get that made up, and how are you going to bring your business in on plan by the end of the year. So this isn't like doing a homework assignment where you wait till the last minute and then the dog ate my homework and, oh wait, no, I guess I just don't have it today. Because time ticks on with this, and you have to, you really have to have a laid out, very, very detailed plan on what you're planning to do. The other thing I would point out to you that I haven't mentioned in a long time, and Daryl has, in fact, he did a post on this, and I've heard him say this several times, that he does not know a single successful trader that does not keep a journal. And some people are more in tune with doing that on the computer. They have some kind of a system where they keep track of things in a journaling form. I'm one of those people where it works better for me just to grab my notebook and jot down my notes and my thoughts and things like that. But get in the habit of journaling. It is enormously helpful. And don't just write it down to be writing it down. I mean, that's not going to do you any good. The whole point of that is so that you can go back over and evaluate where you were. I mean, let's say you've set a goal and you changed something on your chart. Okay, well, how is that working for you? If you don't keep track of these things and you don't keep a journal, you're not going to know. And so this is you constantly have to tweak and keep. I mean, you can't make any drastic changes all at once, but you can. It's constant self-evaluation and constant improvement. That's what you're looking for. And that's one of the big challenges of trading for business. And thank you, Aaron. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful, wonderful. Aaron just posted a really good link in here on how to become eligible for trader tax status benefits. And this is with our friends at the IRS. So keep in mind, this is all part of having a business. This is a business. If you haven't absorbed that fully, I mean, maybe I sound like I'm on my soapbox, but it is so, so important. So anyway, Aaron, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. If you are listening to this later, it's a www.forbes.com site, and it's the article you're looking for is how to become eligible for trader tax status benefits. So everybody ought to grab that and bookmark that, because the name of the game is to run a profitable business, and you do that by paying an enormous amount. You have to get picky about your trades. You have to plan your trade. If you don't have a plan when you enter your trade, you better get one and learn to have that plan before you enter. And that plan needs to be what your entry is, and where your exit is, and where your stop loss is. All this kind of stuff you have to plan. You get picky about every little thing. And that's the only way I know if you want to be profitable and get paid. And obviously this takes an enormous amount of persistence too. So there's lots of peeing involved here. Anyway, we'll just stay alert tomorrow. FOMAC is always just a little squirrely. There may be some, the talk with FOMAC is that they would like to see a lot more home ownership. Home ownership is at an all-time low or close to it or whatever. It's way, way down in the U.S. And raising interest rates might squash that, but on the other hand, you know, it's like love loose. A little post in here about FOMAC they're a little bit schizophrenic. They have blither and then they have dither, and they certainly do a lot with those two. So anyway, this has been my view from my world in